1 minute. There we go. Put his mic on. Welcome. I call this meeting of the Pittsburgh Board of Commissioners to order. As our tradition, we'll start with a moment of silence. Thank you. Commissioner Farrell, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. All right, we have the agenda in front of us. Is there any changes to the regular agenda or consent agenda?
Yeah, I suggest we remove item 2 under the consent agenda.
Okay.
Advisory board attendance policy.
Move that to action item number 2. Okay, any other changes?
Hearing none, I'll move for acceptance of the agenda, including this consent agenda as modified. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll accept the agenda.
Motion, Commissioner Bonitz, second. All those in favor?
All right.
All right, thank you. Okay. Next up is information items. Does anyone have any questions on the information items? There's 3 on the agenda this evening. No. And I would just say for those of us getting used to the new format, the information items are similar to consent, but don't require action. So you have a question on it, but go ahead, Commissioner Baldwin.
Yes, I just have one quick question and regarding on page 11, I guess, it's the minus 100,000 from negative 100,000 from the general fund. If I could get an explanation for that, please. Let me see what I'm looking at. Yeah, all right, it's on the financial fund summary right here.
I do not know. Can I get you an answer on that?
You can.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. That's the only one I have.
Okay, excellent. Staff will follow up on that. Any other questions?
Hey, I'll just add, Pam, is that under the
It's
system development?
no, it's almost at the end where it says fund summary on page 11, the general fund, current total budget.
Oh, I see.
100,000. I think I know what it is, but I just wanted to confirm what it is.
Okay. No other questions? We'll go on. Next, we have a proclamation for Black History Month. So proclamation recognizing Black History Month. Whereas Black History Month is the annual celebration and observance of a special period acknowledging and honoring the significant achievements and contributions of African Americans. And whereas the 2024 theme, African Americans in the Arts, provides a unique opportunity to learn about and celebrate the profound impact our Black neighbors have made on the arts. Whereas African Americans as artists and creators have not only preserved history and community memories through their art, but have also used it as a powerful tool for empowerment, contributing significantly to the fields of visual and performing arts, literature, fashion, folklore, language, film, music, architecture, culinary arts, and other cultural expressions. Whereas deepening our understanding of the history and contributions of African Americans enhances our insight into the ongoing efforts to overcome equality barriers and the continuous fight against racial discrimination. Now, therefore, I, Kyle Shipp, Mayor of the Town of Pittsboro, North Carolina, by virtue of the authority invested in me as mayor, do hereby proclaim the month of February 2024 as Black History Month, celebrating African Americans and the arts in the town of Pittsboro. I encourage all citizens to fully engage with and appreciate the enduring and evolving contributions of our Black neighbors to the community, our state, our nation. That's adopted this 12th day of February 2024. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Citizens Matters, and we'll start with manager updates.
Thank you, Mayor. The PBO 101, the next installment of that is coming in March. So if anyone is interested, or if you have some folks you want to tell about it, please start letting them know. The bathrooms at Mary Hayes Barber Homes Park, they're underway, under construction, and they should be moving equipment on site this week to start the major work on that project. We had a meeting with Duke and Pike, who is their contractor for all the projects going on in town. They're going to start providing us with monthly updates and weekly updates, so we know which work is coming. They're going to return to 15501 or Hillsborough Street. They're going to be working on that on Wednesday. So we're going to get something out as soon as they get us the exact details, hopefully tonight or tomorrow, and get that out to the public so everybody knows to try to avoid that area. They are going to make some changes in how they're doing that work as to not impact the traffic as bad as they have previous. So we had a really good meeting last week, and hopefully those changes will be seen in the work moving forward. And with that, I'll turn it over to Kent Jackson for some exciting news.
Yeah, thank you, Jonathan. So it is award season, so not to be overshadowed by all the recent awards and Super Bowls. Town of Pittsburgh has been recognized for our own award for our project at the water treatment plant to install GAC advanced treatment. So this award is presented by the Design Build Institute of America. And so it's always great to be recognized by other professionals in the industry for our advancements and our efforts. So we were really pleased to receive this a couple of weeks ago from CDM Smith. The award was actually presented last year at the DBIA award ceremony for the Southeast chapter. So really excited to receive this. A couple of notations about the project where the committee really appreciated the close integration of design and construction and the impact to the local community for taking a proactive approach to advanced treatment for PFAS. So we'll proudly display this at the water plant.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Good, good.
More to come. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. For my updates, this last week, February 7th and 8th, I was able to attend the North Carolina Mayors Association meeting. And that's a fairly new organization, I think about 10 years. And they said the turnout of 75 mayors from North Carolina was the best they'd ever had. So good time of learning and meeting new people there. And then on February 8th and 9th, I attended the Advanced Leadership Corps program, continuing education at UNC School of Government. For Central Pines Regional Planning Organization, which is formerly known as TARPO. Appreciate Eric covering that meeting for me and filling me in as I did the other meetings. And the big news there is our regional transportation plan is still moving forward, and we'll have that for some input soon to review. So the countywide transportation plan is still moving forward. From the Economic Development Corporation, our last meeting was January 24th. They say that water and sewer will be available at the VinFast site as of November or in November. So that infrastructure side of that project is moving along well. And then just a reminder to everyone that we still have 2,000 acres available for economic development on mega sites in North Carolina. So even with VinFast and Wolfspeed and all the other, great things that are happening in Chatham County, we still have 2,000 acres available of mega site land. So we did a board retreat for the EDC board on January 30th and worked through some long range planning. And then our next meeting will be February 21st. And Commissioner Baldwin, I did check with them on the Dollar Tree. They don't know exactly what happened,
Okay.
but they are making sure that they talk about that opportunity as they go out and talk to businesses and people interested in the area.
Thank you.
And then I'm also was recently on the EPA Small Community Advisory Subcommittee, and I had that first meeting on Friday, and that was largely about input to the lead and copper rules that are upcoming. And so continue to be able to have input from Pittsburgh on a national level with the EPA rules and regulations. Commissioner Baldwin?
Yes, I only have one thing, and that is the what is that? Central Pines Regional Council, Triangle J Council of Governments, formerly known as. So what the Triangle J is doing is trying to, Central Region, excuse me, are sort of reorganizing in a manner of speaking so they can have different people on different focus groups. And there will be a board of delegate member, an executive committee member, as well as a staff member on there. So, and that way you can focus on a particular subject. and you can find ways to resolve issues, discuss issues instead of doing it as a large group. So you focus on those things such as environmental resilience subcommittee, regional policy subcommittee, member support, housing subcommittee, aging, transportation, community and economic development. So each one of the member governments, that's what they're asking, each delegate would be on there with some of the members, staff members, as well as people in the executive committee. And then we would discuss these different, whatever, each one of those, you would be on one of the focus groups, not all of them. So you would discuss that with your individuals on there and then bring it back to the whole board. So just get things a little bit more area of concentration instead of just trying to look at it all at one time. So basically, a delegate or the the assistant delegate. The alternate could be on there if they would like.
Thank you.
It just said thank you. But anyway, that seems like a good opportunity, and I haven't decided which one I would be on if John's not going to be on there.
Okay. To discuss and whether or not Mayor Shipp would like to.
You two can discuss after what you'd like to
Yeah,
cover.
it has to be a delegate or either an alternative,
Okay.
an alternate. It has
Okay.
to be one of those.
Well, at our last meeting, we changed Mayor Shipp to be the alternate.
You the alternate?
I don't think so.
I think you were
Mayor
still
Shipp
the
did
alternate.
incorrectly.
Okay, I read it.
This is the, what is it called now? Central Pines Rural Planning Organization.
Oh, we're talking about the
Yes.
RPO, not the.
Yeah,
So you talk about Council of
the board.
Governments.
Okay,
So you're still on it.
okay. All right.
So y'all can work that out.
Yes.
Yes,
Let's
but
have
that's all I have for right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Bonner?
Yes. Speaking of the big mouthful, Central Pines Regional Council, formerly TJ-COG. I happened to be in the right neighborhood, what was it, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago for their ribbon cutting.
Mhm.
And greatly enjoyed the experience of being there for the ribbon cutting on the reveal of their newly renovated office spaces in the same location they've been in for a decade. And it's noteworthy that it kind of in parallel to the reorganization, they're also reorganizing the workspace to be more modern and more flexible to dedicated employees of the COG and to their members, us. And so if any of us happen to be in that part of Raleigh, Durham, excuse me, because it's technically Durham, and need to use office space for an hour, we are all welcome to drop in as we are members. Additionally, if any of us need a meeting space, then we can make arrangements to use those meeting spaces. There's a lot of flexibility there. There's a lot of space. And it was a grand welcome to any kind of collaboration and use of the space. And I took a photograph I need to share with everybody because our courthouse is right there on their feature wall as you walk in. It's a lovely greeting. Let's see, the other item that I would update has to do with the Climate Change Advisory Committee. And we met January 25th. And I think the two noteworthy things from that to report would be that partners of members of the committee have pulled together a public information piece under the banner Energy Funds for All, which is a very easy way to learn about the many incentives in the Inflation Reduction Act. Incentives for things like home weatherization, improved heat pumps, lots and lots of rewarding opportunities there. And the website is specific to North Carolina. It is energyfundsforall.org. And I'll repeat that, energyfundsforall.org. And it's very well written and it's very easy to digest. So I encourage folks to check that out. The other thing that I think is worth reporting is that, and this was just an FYI item, the Climate Change Advisory Committee, one member reported that the Southeast Sustainability Directors Network is or was formulating a comment letter on Duke Energy's updated carbon plan. Duke Energy, in response to the Utilities Commission, has presented a carbon plan. And it has received lots of comments, mainly because of what it leaves out. And I noted, and I'm certainly no expert in this, I work with colleagues who are, that technologies in the realm of increasing the flexibility of very large loads on the grid were pretty much omitted, best I could tell. These are called distributed resource energy management systems. And they are things like as simple as water heaters that can be turned off or turned on by the electric utility if you enter a contract agreeing with your utility that they are allowed to do that. Similarly, thermostats, and having those technologies as a part of their long-term planning is important because it allows them, Duke Energy, to make better use of the generating assets that we have. For example, if all of a sudden we have a peak load of demand, middle of July on a super hot day, everybody's turning the air conditioners on all at once. Rather than having a complete collapse of the grid as they had in Texas, instead, Duke Energy could then turn off individual water heaters or turn off individual air conditioners across the grid and create a virtual power plant. And so those kinds of things are just some of the things that were in that comment letter. And I think I've probably taken up too much time describing things in the weeds. So thank you for letting.
Thank you. Commissioner Farrell?
I don't have anything.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Foley?
I have a few things. Number one, the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee that the county update. We have nominated and elected two new chairs, a chair and a vice chair. The chairperson is Tiffany Stufflick, who is a mover and a shaker, a lover to death. She is a retired naval officer, disabled naval officer. And she's already brought a great deal of energy and confidence to the board. And I welcome her appointment. Sharon Gray is a real estate agent in Chatham County. Ms. Sharon is salt of the earth, and I love that she's there for support. And so welcome both of those new team members. I'm sure they'll do great work in the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee for Chatham County. Number two item, I got a chance to attend neighborhood welcome from our new friends from Wolfspeed. Wolfspeed has a manufacturing plant, rather large manufacturing plant in just north of Siler or west of Siler City. And what they manufacture there is something called a boule, B-O-U-L-E. And a boule is a carbon silicone based, just a big old slug. And they use this boule and they slice it thin and they make chips out of those slices. And then on the slices are etched the memory components needed for high-speed, high-tech chips. That's science. What I'm more really concerned about and what I've felt from them was they are a team player. And their hiring practices invest directly in Chatham County. Their recruitment process is through Chatham County Community College and through the high schools. And I spoke at length with a rep from Will Speed that she wants to say, we're hiring right now. We are hiring right now for these well-paid jobs. What we do, since the factory's not open yet, we train you in our factory in Durham. Please get the word out. These are very specialized jobs with a great deal of responsibility, and they're being offered to our citizens in Pittsburgh and in the greater Chatham County area. So, and one more thing, one more update. It's the first time I ever did this. Kyle couldn't attend. He blew it. Mayor Shipp was going to do a ribbon cutting at Szechuan Village in Polk's Landing. And it's just a fabulous restaurant. They did it up right. And I hopefully all ribbon cuttings are like this. They sat us down and fed us. And it was, it was nice. But they are well-connected Taiwanese and mainland Chinese representatives that are doing good in this community. And so I highly recommend we direct our favors up in that direction. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Vose?
On Tuesday, January the 23rd, excuse me, I met with the ABC board where, among other topics, we went over year-to-date sales numbers. I'm happy to say that the ABC store generated a little over $20,000 for the town of Pittsburgh. I think the check was given a couple of weeks ago to the town. Then another $2,792 for law enforcement and just short of $4,000 for alcohol education. In the first 6 months of their new fiscal year, they're up over $200,000 over last year's sales. So they're doing a great job, and I think that should be said. And then I have a save the date. Clyde Fest is happening on Sunday, April 14th, right here at the Ag Center, and that is rain or shine.
Thank you. Any additional updates or concerns from commissioners? All right.
Oh, the negative
Managers?
$1,000, that was an error. That will be corrected and you'll have new financials tomorrow.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Good catch.
Good catch. It's small error.
All right, we'll move into public comment. For public comment, please state your name and address at the start of your comments. There's a time limit of 3 minutes, which will be displayed on the screen. In the interest of time and fairness, it is the board's policy to not respond directly to comments during this time period. The staff will follow up as appropriate. We have 2 people signed up this evening, Connolly Walker and Courtney Cabe.
My name is Courtney Cabe and my address is 101 Kentview Drive, Pittsburgh, North Carolina, 270. I am here on behalf of the Rotary Club of Pittsburgh. We wanted to officially thank Mayor Kyle Shipp for joining us on our very first MLK Junior Day of Service on January 15th. We worked with Chatham County Schools, the YMCA, and the Rotary Club of Pittsburgh to provide over 600 hygiene bags for Cora and Love Chatham. Chatham Middle School and Elementary School students collected supplies in December, and then the high schoolers were involved in packing and organizing the bags along with Mayor Shipp. We had over 100 volunteers in attendance that day. Adult volunteers represented the Rotary Club of Pittsburgh, other local businesses, Chatham County principals, the Chatham County Excellence and Opportunity Department. Student groups represented the Interact Club of Northwood High School, Scout Troop 93, Jordan Mackey's Beta Club, and other clubs from Seaforth and Early College. We had a very good turnout with high school students. This was their day off. They had a day on for service. I really appreciate that. Brent Levy from the local church provided the invocation. Rebecca Hankins from Cora and Dakota Philbrook from Chatham spoke about their organizations, and then Superintendent Dr. Anthony Jackson gave an inspirational speech to kick off the event. After helping packing bags, Mayor Shipp graciously spoke at the end of the event, and the students were very excited to take their picture with the mayor when he presented their certificate of completion. Thank you very much.
Thank you for doing that for our community. All right, up next is public hearings. The first one up is a revision request to Bellemont Station MUPD. And I'll take a motion to enter the public hearing.
So moved.
Commissioner, Mayor Pro Tem Baldwin. Second? Second, Commissioner Vose. Thank you. Planning Director, take us away.
Good evening. There's a report in your packet. The visual. I'll start anyway. How about that? In just a moment, we'll have a visual. This particular project was brought to planning board back in August, around the time the public meeting occurred. Bellemont Station MUPD was actually originally approved in 2007. And the developers, the only development within this approved plan has been a 76 apartment complex and plus or minus 1,300 linear feet of public roadway that is Lowe's Drive extension. Table in the packet, which actually details the changes this time out. Originally, there were 405 dwelling units, and of course, they've gone to 760. The density has changed from 3.36 dwelling units per acre to 4.92. There we go. And I think I just want to go to the actual map, just a little bit further down. And just some changes in the setbacks and basically a little bit clearer explanation, but basically the take home point is that you're adding about 300 units to the particular development. One more, or is it one more? All right, so this is the major changes are all found on this particular map. Added since the last time this particular thing was in front of you all is the very small, I believe it's 60-foot wide. It's a right of way for a potential future road connection to Lowe's Drive. And there's a 19-page narrative following this particular set of maps. I'm going to invite the petitioner forward. There's a couple of maps he'd like to share with you all. It's going to be a living easel, or this is going to be an easel. There we go. Yeah. Certainly old enough to have done it in old school. Yes, sir. Yes, please.
Good evening, board members, staff. Mark Ashton, C Group's offices at 367 Freedom Parkway and the Mosaic Project. I'm not going to go back over the things we discussed back in November. I know there's been several meetings since we last got together, but you provided some constructive ideas at meeting. At that meeting, we pretty much showed that our proposed uses were in compliance with your current land plan from a standpoint of higher intensity closer to the Lowe's Shopping Center, Carolina Brewer area, transitioning to multifamily to townhome to single family as we move closer to the southern part of the property near Chatham Forest. Some of the items that you brought up that were of concern were at the time in November, we showed connectivity to your town lands, which was a former landfill. After that meeting, we sat down with staff and for some extended periods of time and discussed various alternatives, which included bringing the thoroughfare back through the center of the property. At the end of the day, we basically agreed to move that location. From your down project area, you can see sliding over here. That's more in alignment with where your other thoroughfare to the east of us is located. So that was getting that alignment put in this direction. We still are maintaining a 10-foot wide concrete path, not only along this location, but all the way down this loop road that will allow both folks in the project and in Chatham Ports to be able to move to the commercial activity along that route. There'll be a sidewalk on the other side of the road, would just be a traditional, like a 5-foot sidewalk, but there's a 10-foot path on that side. One of the other things that was brought up, there's some potential development here on Cooper property that's sort of brewing right now, has come to your attention. There was an ask on the town's part and this particular potential developer to extend a 60-foot public right-of-way here. So we did show that as well. And that 10-foot trail would connect to that as well.
Is that on here?
It should be.
Okay.
Yes.
It's really hard to see that.
My apologies, but it is on your smaller sheet as well. We also created a hybrid zone. There was some discussion about the lack of commercial in this area. And so the area that's immediately to the south or southeast of the current commercial that we had always shown, we have that sort of a striped area, and that is now really it could be a mix of use in that area. It could be multifamily, commercial, townhomes. That is sort of a hybrid zone that has some higher height, allows a little more density in that location. The rest of those areas in the front have not really changed from that location. We also had shown more park space potential transition or transfer to the town that was adjoining some of our sort of southerly area. A lot of that was on steep slopes, so we removed that as well from the proposal. So those are really the key points in the transition. The actual density was dropped to 760 units. We were a little bit north of 800. There's 76 existing apartments that are affordable housing. They're recognized as affordable housing units, you know, both if you go on the state website. And so the project now, we have 10% of the project meets that threshold. We also cleaned up some of we had as more of an exhaustive narrative for things such as lighting, landscaping, parking, circulation, et cetera. We just basically transitioned all of that to match the current UDO that's been adopted. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you. One of my questions in line, appreciate you aligning those things with the UDO. What about the stormwater as well? It doesn't seem like that's in the UDO.
It's aligned with your current stormwater regulations. So I think it is effectively aligned with the UDO as a result of that. So the town has a specific stormwater ordinance, has criteria for what we have to, and we also mentioned, I think in the last meeting, that we would over detain on the stuff that was heading south in that area as well. If you feel like that's there, Kent, I don't know, is meeting your stormwater requirements aligning with the UDO?
Well, as you're saying, I mean, they're currently codified in two different documents.
So we've specifically stated we would meet all of the town's stormwater requirements.
I guess my only comment, and a good distinction between the UDO and the other, I just noticed like on lighting, it says we're following the UDO. On stormwater, there was a narrative versus following the town's stormwater requirements.
Well, I think hopefully we said that in there. We're definitely following stormwater regulations. We have to, obviously. So that was one of the reasons I didn't just simply state that, is that we are obviously going to have to conform to your stormwater regulations.
Okay. Staff agree with?
Yeah, we definitely agree they are required to follow them. I have not reviewed all their narrative, but if it does not state that expressly, then it should be amended to make that clear.
There's some form of a restating that then just this is where this shows up.
And we're happy to add that as a condition that we follow the current stormwater regulations.
Okay, yeah, I think if we could just say stormwater management, follow the town's regulations.
Absolutely.
Done. And then one more really typo type thing for me before we get to the others is under transit, it talks about a fixed route between Pittsboro and Chapel Hill, and Pittsboro and Siler City. And then it talks about a community transportation service plan that won't be updated until later in 2021. So I understand you're providing transit
That
opportunity.
shows up on page 11. Yes.
Yes, we do have a transit stop on the project, sort of central to the project. It's right where the asterisk is. There's a small park area across from that.
But your question goes more to the information in the transit accommodations being somewhat outdated.
Yeah, or incorrect, I guess, to be,
Yes.
like those routes don't exist anymore. So I don't think there's anything you guys are going to do about them, but I would just want to clean it up and, yeah, okay. Any comments from commissioners?
And I have one, real quick on the transit. Do you want to, sorry, just to clarify what Mayor Shipp brought up, in the transit, do we want to remove all of, like, what is the change? Because when we get done with this, we'll need to.
Sure.
That.
Yes.
I mean, I think we could probably just take out the first two paragraphs and say that, then just leave a transit stop as proposed in a central location, and the project's bike and pedestrian facilities will connect to that. Just take out the stuff, the old information about Chatham Transit. Does that make sense?
Basically taking out the bullets in the paragraph that follows it under transit accommodations.
Yeah, you just remove paragraph 1 and 2.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Commissioner Farrell?
Yes, it was regarding the lift station.
Page 9.
Said that, when the sewer is allocated for all that, the Lowe's lift station may need some improvements. Is this gonna be an improvement that the town will be paying for, or the developer?
It's a great question. No, so just a little bit of background. That station, when it was originally designed, was designed for the prior density of this project. That also included higher flow rates. The state has reduced some of those flow rates. And actually, as you know, real flow tends to be lower than permitted flow, the paper flow. But if there was any requirement, an upgrade, that would be borne by the developer.
Okay.
But I think that in reality, there may not need to be any requirements because of the size of the station as it was sized under the old regulations.
Thanks, Mark. I know it said in here about the sewer, asking for allotment, but I remember years back that the power place, when they did their development, I don't know, that was in the late nineties, I guess, maybe 1995, so on. They already had their allocation of sewer, correct? Mr. Massey?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm assuming in 2007, you guys did not get your full allotment of sewer, correct?
I think actually what happened was that there was a partial allocation, and then some of that allocation was just rescinded because time expired. So that specific agreement at that time had some allocation that just went away. So we recognize that.
Okay.
And I think the town's now setting up a policy to kind of address how this we would follow. Correct. Yeah.
Okay, Mark, thank you.
I got a question for you, Mark. Can we talk about the commercial area that's been chopped in 1/5 now? There's a plan for a hotel.
There's room there for a hotel, correct?
So
And sure. Well, it includes some of what we call that hybrid zone there.
I understand. Okay.
So our client does operate hotels and owns hotels, and that he does believe there's a demand. I know that, we've been involved with the hotels already. One in construction, the other one is hopefully going to be in construction sometime soon, their Powell Place. But he does believe as a hotel operator, there's still more demand for hotels in the near term. And so that's one of the uses. We did trim the uses back, but there's commercial, various office type uses could occur in that zone as well. The reality is, even though we're building density here, there already is commercial activity adjacent to us, right? And then since this project was conceived, Mosaic didn't exist at that time, nor did Northwood Landing. So there's been a tremendous amount of commercial generation since the original MUPD approval. So physically do here, given we don't have direct visibility from Hillsborough, in that location. It's probably one business. You've probably seen other projects. The further you move back, sometimes it's more challenging to have a successful use.
Sure, market flexibility is important. So getting back to that one spot, the hotel, is there a height? Talk about that, because if you're using that small area, then it's going to be pretty tall.
It's, I believe we had 60 feet as our highest point there. Yeah.
And that'll be annotated in the plans.
Yes. And we would be coming back with specific site plans for any of these particular areas. But tonight, really, you're just approving sort of zones of density, if you will, and specific placement of those kind of uses.
It's 65 feet maximum building height.
Well, when a legacy development like you're coming in, it comes to the board to amend its plans. There is, there is a stress on your side with market conditions. I understand that. But is it fair to ask the question, can we ask for more affordable housing? And I'm going to put that out to the board for discussion. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Commissioner Foley, I very much appreciate you asking the question because in reviewing my notes, Mark, I didn't explicitly say affordable housing, but our earlier conversation in November, I did address those concerns. And as much as I expressed desire to see still more density, less single family houses, more townhomes, duplexes, triplexes, quadplexes. It's concerning because it doesn't, it's the 76 units that were built 8 years ago have served the town. And we're grateful that we've had them for 8 years. I'm grateful. I know folks who live up there. But that doesn't satisfy the current need. And given that this project is asking for a very significant increase in density, additional units, additional entitlements, I am very uncomfortable with the idea that all that's going to be generated or promised is 5% workforce housing. So, yeah.
So let's talk about the workforce housing. So I've been on the advisory board in Chatham County for 8 years, Mark. So it's kind of passion. Can you help us describe what your vision of workforce housing is and how you can help us?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that you're obviously Pittsburgh's in a very unique spot, right? You're seeing rampant development. We know there's a lot of higher end product that's already in the market, and there's going to be more product of that type in play. Certainly apartments meet that need, and definitely fall within the thresholds that people identify for affordability. We've been involved with apartments from Mosaic and with Landing and Howell Place apartments, and all of those fit that niche. So this type of project here should, because of the increased density and the increase in multifamily and townhome product, those are really the substantial changes in this particular project, is increase in multifamily, increase in townhome, those types of units are definitely going to be more affordable than single family product. And so the MUPD that's currently in place today had a very minimal amount of multifamily and a very minimal amount of townhome product within it. So I know that the town is still working through formulas and, final adjustments that could happen. But I do truly believe this type of project is bringing that to the forefront because of the heavier amount of placement on potential for townhomes and apartments within the project. And that by market need, it will fulfill a lot of your concerns, I believe.
I'm just going to follow up on that if I could, please. So basically, this indicates there will be 376 apartments.
Right.
So are those going to be consistent with the apartments that are now?
No, they would be market rate apartments, but I mean, those of you that have delved into the weeds of affordable housing know that I think virtually almost every one bedroom apartment beats it right out of the gate, price pointing and so forth. And so in that, the new 300 apartments that we're proposing, typically what you see is about 40% one bedroom, 40% two bedroom, and then maybe 20% three bedroom. And that varies a little bit. Sometimes the three bedrooms, maybe 15%, but there's going to be and this is just the way apartments are. It's going to be a tremendous amount of one bedroom apartments, within this project. And all of those are going to sort of fit that need. I think townhomes too, and getting to actual home ownership, versus an apartment. Certainly townhomes are going to afford someone that opportunity. And, there's other townhome product in town. And I think that our client believes that, we can provide something that will be slightly more cost effective to what's going to be coming online, some of the other projects.
I certainly hope so, because 195 townhomes, that would be great.
Yes,
It would be
absolutely.
Price range for people to be able to purchase.
And that's really the purpose of this project is the density ask is to make more affordable. We realize we don't have all the accoutrements of some of the other projects that we've been involved in. And so it's someone that may want to live in this community, wants to be near all of that, right? But they've maybe found something that might be slightly cheaper.
You came to the board with a great deal of preparation and appreciate what you've done, truly. But you're asking for more. You're asking for more. And I'm speaking for myself when I say, what are you going to give us back? And I know 5% is something, but I think we can do better for the people in Pittsburgh. And I don't know how the rest of the board feels about it, but I'd be quite interested in hearing somebody speak up about additional affordable housing. Greater than 5%. 10.
We're at 10%.
Well, the 76, yes.
760 units.
76 units.
76 apartments.
We understand that.
Okay.
But we also have an additional 300 apartments coming in.
Correct.
And that's what we're going to focus on. Things have changed for us too in Pittsburgh. Great deal. I know that the sheriff of the Chatham County has gone on to WCHL and lamented that he doesn't have places for his staff to live. And I know we're struggling with teachers as well. So it's not us being in theory asking for more. We're actually asking for our people. What's important to them? How can we make this affordable for the people? I want Chatham County teachers and Chatham County nurses in Chatham County. That makes sense. So respectfully, I request that we talk about going a little bit higher than 5%. And I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure how we discuss that, Mayor Shipp. But do we do it in public or do we just throw out numbers or what exactly? How do we do this? How do we negotiate?
Well, I think the board can just share their concerns with the current proposal
Okay.
with the developer and their representative is the best way to do it. So, and Mark, when you say, I see workforce housing here, what does that mean to you?
I think, again, I'm not an expert. I've just been around people talking about this, but it sounds like a one-bedroom apartment is below the 80% income level that you're at. Every single one of them, just by practical market rate, would fit that criteria. So if we have 300 new apartment units proposing, today, and let's just say 40%, third of them being considered, I think it'll be 40% of them will be let's just say third. That's a significant, that's 100 more units, right? That you're bringing into the fold. But again, I think having affordable townhomes are just as important, right? In terms of, so the whole purpose for adding density was, they're twofold. One is that it should create an affordable product. That's, if you look at any of the studies that are out there. And two, the plan we had currently approved today is not reflective of the times of today, right? Sure. There were minimal townhomes, there were apartments, and the single family lots were all larger. So what we've done is in the single family lot size we're proposing is really at the narrower bandwidth, lot width that you would see, in a traditional neighborhood that you would have a regional or national builder come in and execute that plan. Is there a slightly smaller unit? There could be, but I think we're at 41 feet. That's a pretty tight lot width.
Okay, thanks. So if I heard correctly, you're talking about 80% AMI level for workforce designation.
And I realize there's different levels, different gradations, but I think I'm just speaking, I think practically the amount of apartments we're generating is putting us there just by reality.
Okay.
Why not formalize?
I think we can.
Why not formalize?
The area in purple that's marked future development, what are the thoughts for that area?
Great question. So that was originally in the original MUPD that was shown as future development. There really isn't any plan for that area. So in other words, if someone wanted to develop that, we felt like that land, since it was on the other side of the buffer, would be more practically developed if the land east of us was ever acquired or brought into the MUPD. Therefore, there would be a revision. So effectively, nothing really can be done with that area today, short of someone coming back to y'all or a future board and saying, hey, we have some more land, we're doing something different. And now we want to go through a public hearing process and have an ask. So short of that happening, that area is just sitting there.
Okay.
We did something just like this at Northwood Landing. If you pass where the apartments are being built right now, there's a buffer. And then there's another piece, a large piece of property that goes all the way over to Old Graham Road.
Yep.
And so we showed that as future development because there just wasn't a practical connectivity, but it was within the bounds of the project.
Okay. So you guys don't intend to develop or disturb that land or anything?
Correct. Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Are we done communicating with affordable housing?
No.
I hope not.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I just have one more comment. It did say additional 5% workforce housing. Now, from what you're saying, or what I have heard you say, is that workforce housing more so will be apartments, more so than townhomes. And I would like for townhomes to be in that 5% for workforce too.
Sure. Well, I think if you just use the numbers I spouted out a few minutes ago, you're looking at another 10% of that would be workforce credible housing. I would imagine some of the townhomes would be too, but I'm not that end developer of the townhome product. There's going to be a site plan. We're going to come back in front of y'all again, and here's our townhome site plan right here. Same thing with the apartments. Someone's going to show up. We're going to say, here are the apartments we're proposing right here. I'm not trying to, but we don't have that actual end user. I'm not standing with that person today saying, I know who's going to build those townhomes. and
Yes.
here's what we're gonna do. But the whole purpose was to make this project more affordable. And that's what the transition to more townhomes and apartments is doing.
So it sounds like, if I can summarize a little bit, the board is kind of looking for 5% workforce housing for multifamily and 5% workforce housing for single family.
Outside of Belmont Point.
Correct.
Yes.
Is that?
And I think you'll have, I won't say that, well, you'll have a vote with that
And
that amendment.
the definition that you're going to use is
80% AMI.
because the Chatham County Housing Trust Fund definition of workforce housing is 20 to 80 essentially.
Correct.
We would meet that. I mean, I can tell you, what is that number right now? It's over 100 grand, isn't it?
Over 116 at 100%. Yeah.
I mean, I guess the question,
To be clear, the AMI is 116,400 right now.
what I would suggest or ask is that I know you just stipulated both. In other words, that we achieve that additional 10% through those product types, if that makes sense, but not equally. Does that make sense?
So from my experience, what is needed more is apartments than single family or townhouses. But that's current. That's Triangle J, or excuse me, Council of Governments.
Houses too.
Oh, we do, but we're short 2,000 apartments.
We're short apartments, but I think that we're also short the townhomes quite a bit because it's almost impossible to find a townhome that's within reason.
So would it be appropriate or reasonable to ask for just a general number and, as Mr. Ashton has said, have the developer tweak it?
That would be good. I think that.
So if we had a stipulation saying instead of 5%, we go 10% affordable housing exclusive of the Belmont Point apartments, would we agree on that?
I would like to just make a quick comment. I do like this project and I like the fact that you changed over on that landfill. I like that a lot. But and I think that we should ask for more, but we have to be consistent. If we're gonna ask him for more, then with next one that comes before us, we need to ask for the same thing. That's my comment.
I agree.
And I think historically we have been consistent in the need for affordable housing in the area. And I think particularly what we know we have coming online, the townhomes are a need that I think we should define, because we do have quite a few apartment units coming online, and less single family units coming online from that perspective.
Back to Commissioner Baldwin's comments. So, yeah.
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
We're gonna say, ask him for 10%. We need to ask the next one for the same thing,
Yeah, to be fair.
just to be fair.
Right.
And I think it's hard to talk about it in terms of one percentage because it's percentage at an income level for a product. And so, those
Different.
all a formula more than a specific percentage, but certainly agree there's a great need and it's something we should be consistent with filling that need.
That's what that more so than anything else is what I'm trying to say. We have to be consistent with all. We just can't say to him, we want this, and not be consistent with others.
No, I agree. I mean, we added some additional appearance constraints that the town really doesn't want to see vinyl unless it's just some kind of very small ornamental piece or something like that. So we added that to our, I didn't mention that earlier, but which I think is what you've been asking from other projects as well. I mean, I think the nature of this project with the apartment and the townhome volume change is going to hit your objective just by the way it is, market rate, to be honest with you.
So,
Let me summarize what I think we've said so far. Stormwater management, remove all the existing text and replace it with all new development will comply with Pittsboro stormwater regulations. Sure. Transit accommodations, remove paragraphs 1 and 2. water and sewer. Additional offsite improvements may be required at this lift station and downstream existing sanitary sewer lines. These improvements will be identified prior to submission of the preliminary plat for phase one, where it stops now, and then add and paid for by the property owner.
I would say this, I think again, that station, it's going to be a while if there's a need for it, because that station was sized to accommodate a project back here. Does that make sense? So
Okay.
it's not, when we show up with phase one plat and we send our calculations to Kent, he's going to say it all is good because of the fact that the station was already sized for a substantial amount of the project. So I don't, you wouldn't necessarily need to do an upgrade. I personally think it would be at the very back end of the project. Upgrade. That's my honest opinion.
So if we say prior to submission of preliminary plat for each phase and paid for by property owner if required?
Right. And that's pretty typical of what anyone would have to do. No, we would do a downstream evaluation. And at that time, if there was an issue, there's an improvement requirement.
Yeah, I mean, the only time there's any exception would be if there was a large regional lift station that there was, some public interest for us to participate. Otherwise, they are most always the developer expense.
Okay, so even without saying that, it's not.
That's correct.
That's excellent. All right. So the housing types are listed under development project description. So right now it says additionally, the affordable project, the overall project will provide an additional 5% of workforce housing. And then I think the board would like to add at 80% AMI for multifamily and an additional 5% of workforce housing at 80% AMI for single family.
I'm going to have to talk to my client about if you break it into segments, I'm going to probably need to chat with him about that.
See here, are they here?
What's the hesitation that you might be looking at?
Well, I can't make that decision.
I see.
In other words, I can talk practically, if we already have 10%, that exists today, right? And when you get down to 80% AMI, I think that most one-bedroom apartments are going to meet that just right out of the gate. But we would need to check that. And then if you're bringing single family or townhomes into a separate, I would definitely want to have them confirm that.
Okay.
Your current requirements today are 10%, right?
We don't have requirements.
Okay. And I realize we're making a conditional ask here. So we're out here in a little bit of a negotiation, but
We respect that.
I think the purpose of what we've done is to increase density in the townhomes and multifamily and reduce density in the single family to affect what you're asking us to do. But
And I think what I hear you saying is it'll probably produce 40% of workforce housing.
yeah, and
We're asking for a guarantee.
80% versus the slightly higher number. I think the end result is hopefully this project will be a good fit for some of the other stuff that's happening, around you. That's our hope. But yeah, I can't make that promise across the board in each section. I mean, it's, I feel comfortable that we could hit the 10% affordable for additional, just as an additional aggregate. If we could try to do better than that, but we're already at 10% today. And that's already been there. That's not a new item for you to consider. But that was a significant, move at that time.
Is there a solution here looking at it as a gap? So 80 to 100? Because when we did Reeves Farm, previous Chat Park and others had 80 to 120 for workforce housing. And so we narrowed that down to 80 to 100. So you could say an additional 10%.
I think our client would be fine with that.
10% of workforce housing between 80 and 100% AMI to be spread across the current uses.
That's correct.
Okay.
But I think the intent is to provide product that's more affordable.
Yeah.
But that's the area that our client would like to hit in the market.
Does that language work for you?
Yes. As long as it's not specific to
Type of house type.
I mean, the only thing about that is it doesn't guarantee that any single family or townhomes will be in that category. So what I was wondering about is if we do the proportion of town, so there's 376 apartments, 195 townhomes. Whatever that proportion of, or, you know, call it 7% and 3% or whatever that is. To provide some certainty to both of us that there's flexibility, but because it would be, if they're equal, it'd be a higher burden on townhomes or, you know, the single family where there's less, but.
I think we would be comfortable with what the manager stated. The additional 10% up to the 80 to 100%. I mean, I think we can trip over that, but it's outside of that, I'd need to have my client, I would need to confer with my client to make something, you know, larger than that.
Because I think I said proportionate cases, meaning exactly what Kyle was saying, the mayor was saying is, you know, based on the proportion of each, that's where you're breaking.
Yeah, I would say, I would view townhomes and single family as the same category. They're individual lots and we've diminished the single family product already with the significant addition of the townhome product. So my feeling is if you can achieve it there, I don't see the difference in that. And personally, single family and townhome, it's own home ownership. Right. Affordability is the most important aspect of that.
Are you asking to raise the apartment unit number up?
No, the unit numbers are the same, just how many are designated as workforce.
Okay.
Do you have a separate? Okay, we'll come back.
You could say that 10% could be spread proportionately among the different uses with townhomes and single family being counted as the same. So then you would split that workforce housing up between your apartments and your townhomes, knowing that you
There
don't.
may be some single family that fit that criteria, but it probably would be more townhome driven. Yep.
Okay, and that's what y'all were after, right? More
Yeah.
townhomes that are affordable? Because I think that language works, if that works for you.
That's 80 to 100%.
Yes, yeah, if that's all right with you.
That'll work. Yeah.
That's good.
If not, we can just table this and keep discussing later, but.
We don't want to table it, Mark. We want to see this.
As I like what Mr. Franklin stated. I'm fine with that.
I have some additional concerns, Mark.
Well, are we agreed on that?
I think we are.
Okay.
Let's hear the additional concerns.
Sure. So the document is silent on my earlier requests about things like dark skies protection, adaptive lighting, controllable lighting, additional energy savings and reduced impacts on the environment and humans at night. Also electrified parking or EV ready parking. And finally, my request that there be explicit prohibition on burning of debris. That's unfortunately, you've inherited the legacy that site was the last site in town limits that did open burning of very large scale land clearing debris. There is 10 or 15 years worth of growth that's come up. There will be debris removal. Let's just make sure that we're not going to burn it.
So starting sort of the beginning, we're certainly falling under your lighting ordinance as UDO. I had discussion with Randy after that meeting. Really, I think our client's he's fine with electric vehicle charging and rough-ins for that, but it's really more of the site specific. And when we're going to have to come back to y'all and submit site plans for the multifamily, for the townhomes. And so that's really where I think that specificity comes in. But in terms of approach, we're in a complete agreement with those items.
So you can simply state that further submittals will discuss or include EV ready.
Correct.
And being explicit to that extent would help.
We're willing to say that those will be addressed at the site plan phase, specific for each of those uses.
One further question, erosion control. Can you talk about that? I know-
Wait, yes. Yeah, so
And then
knocked off EV, yeah.
the last is burning, I guess. I mean, we would want to fall under the criteria that the town currently operates. So if the county allows burning in Pittsboro, then we would still want to have that be treated just like anyone else that was doing a project. If they're not allowing it, or, obviously there are times of the year where it's not allowed at all, based on wind conditions or dryness, we would just simply ask to be treated just like everyone else.
That's been a pretty standard condition we've been putting in everybody's is no burn.
Because it's not present in our ordinances.
That was in Reeves Farm.
Yes.
Okay? And I'm fine with that.
And we have some dark skies or language coming to you
We're
very
working on
soon.
that.
Yeah,
But if we approve this with the current language, then it reflects the UDO as it stands today. So changes to our UDO with regard to dark skies would not be incorporated in this future project. So
They may not be, or they may. I mean, obviously, when we come in with the site plan, we're going to be looking to be competitive with what else is going to be done, right, in the town.
So at site plan approval, it would embrace the UDO provisions as of that time, that date and time.
I would ask the attorney to answer that question. Just
I think developer choice rule gives you.
I agree. I think that the rules that are in place today, the current UDO, is what we'd be compliant with.
Not satisfactory, so.
But, what did you make Reeves Farm do?
No open burning.
No open burning, yeah.
I don't know if we talked to him about lighting yet. That's something that just happened in the last month or so. We've been looking at.
I mean, obviously, people are interested in reducing utility costs, right? I mean, there's some of these things we're talking about are common use, I think. But without, ordinance in place today, I mean, we're willing to fall under that criteria. I mean, we are an approved MUPD today that under much lower thresholds across the board, right? So it's not like we're coming in here as a green project.
That's right.
So I would appreciate some, I guess, recognition of where we're at.
Yeah. And yet also there's a very significant request for increase in entitlement for density, which is going to exacerbate traffic, vehicle emissions, lighting, dark skies, insults to the dark skies. So.
Right. I mean, it's philosophical. I mean, densification is hopefully going to create more value or cheaper opportunities for people to live. That's the reason. I mean, all of the municipalities are looking at this, accessory units, across the board. That's what's going on right now, is how do we create affordability? And the number one answer is density. That's how we create affordability, is density. So I feel like we're doing our job there.
Commissioner Bonitz, any other concerns?
No. Thank you.
Commissioner Foley?
No.
Commissioner Vose?
Yes. My comment is not so much what we're going to do with the property, but what's already happened to it. And I'm at a disadvantage because I have not walked it, but I have seen pictures from people that have. And it seems like the land has been pretty well disrespected. It seems like there's piles of tires and dump trucks rotting and a whole lot of topsoil has been removed. And it looks like it's just been bulldozed away and taken away. Will anything be done to put it back to its natural state before you sell it?
Well, the development of this property will cure the issues that you just brought forward. So our client did not do the work that you described. Our client purchased the property from an individual that did that activity. And basically developing the property will forcefully clean up the issues you just described, create reasonable grading, stabilized slopes and all of the above. So it's really, that's what needs to happen, to be honest with you.
I agree.
So sort of related to that, going back to the future development. But understand, so anything that would happen there would need to come back to us for an amendment of this, correct? Okay, so can we change that wording to area to not be disturbed? And then you can bring back anything in the future?
Well, to me, area to not be disturbed seems, I would take that to mean it's not going to be disturbed. It's, I mean, I've got an example of the Northwood plan right there that we did, and we have the exact same. It's that area right there, we call it future development. So it was an MUPD. And we had that same designation because of the constraints that I mentioned, the fact that there was a buffer. And so the good news for y'all, I think, is that nothing can happen there. So, I mean, nothing can, it will be an open space until someone submits a modification that comes back to you. And I think the only reason there would be a modification is if there was some land adjacent to it, because that area is so thin. So let's just assume that the property to the east of that doesn't get developed or gets put in conservation or whatever the case may be. Nothing's going to happen there because it's too thin. So it's only going to come back to you because there's a larger area now, and that little small linear piece fits into that larger area. So it's, and that's how it was listed previously in the original MUPD. So we're not really changing anything there. We're just basically deferring, saying nothing can be done here from an entitlement standpoint unless somebody comes back in front of you and suggests or requests something to happen there. So I think you're getting that by virtue of where it's at now.
Randy, do you concur with that?
Largely. I mean, if you really want it to not be developed, it probably should be labeled not developed. But yes, if it's future development, then yes, there is always a future for it to be developed.
We could also change it at that time.
Sorry, what?
We could also change it at that time.
Yes.
It would need to come back for a modification, this same process, in order to do anything in the future. Is that correct?
Yes.
So not to be developed, would it be appropriate in your eyes or not? The label.
I don't think I've given it any thought until this moment.
Okay. Do you have any recommendations besides future development? Or are you comfortable with that?
I think future development would work as equally well. I was going to say certainly site plans themselves are in-house, but stuff still gets handled by bringing it through you all.
Okay.
I did want to make that particular point of correction.
Yes. Yes. All right. Any other comments? I'll go ahead.
I do have a question for you, Randy. Do you have any comments on the development that you'd like to share? Is there anything that we haven't covered that might want us to consider?
Nothing that comes to mind right off.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
It sounds like we have a lot of typing to do once we get back to work tomorrow. Or someone has a lot of typing to do once they get back to work.
Let me summarize that typing. So under development project description, it will say additionally, the project overall will provide an additional 10% workforce housing at 80 to 100% AMI for multifamily and single family according to their proportions in the project.
Single family, townhomes and single family are considered the same.
I think it's
Interchangeable with.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
Stormwater.
I suggest say single family and or town, just in case another board doesn't do single. Someone we work in jurisdictions where townhomes, they give them a single family, even though they're separate lots.
I think that's fair, especially if y'all's aim is the townhomes anyway. That's.
Okay. Sure. Stormwater management, remove all the existing text and change it to all new development will comply with Pittsboro stormwater regulations.
Yes.
Transit accommodations, remove paragraphs 1 and 2. But somewhere that future site plans will include EV-ready parking spaces.
Would that not be sort of in that same section?
Uh,
Maybe not transit accommodations, but somewhere in the community street standards or something.
Parking.
Yes.
that'd be a good spot. And then include, no open burning is allowed during construction. All right.
Fire department still.
Do another.
And still, no.
Hopefully they're putting it out, not burning.
Looking like a practice control.
Okay, also, there was no one signed up from the public to speak for this public hearing, so, any other questions or comments before we close the public hearing?
Do we want to ask if there is anyone present who would like to speak?
Sure. Is anyone present that intended to sign up but did not sign up for the public hearing? All right. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
So
So moved.
Mayor Pro Tem Baldwin and second by Commissioner Bonitz. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and then I will take a motion to approve the amendments with the changes mentioned just now to Bellemont Station as included in Exhibit B and mentioned just now.
So moved.
Commissioner Bonitz, second. Commissioner Vose. Any more discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pass unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
All right, public hearing number 2. This is for a text amendment to Echo Northwood MUPD Master Sign Program. And I'll take a motion to open the public hearing. Commissioner Vose,
Second.
second Commissioner Foley. All those in favor?
aye.
Aye. All right, and planning director,
I'm sorry.
direct us.
Yes, I'm directing. Okay, so we received a legislative request. Eco Northwood MUPD, the applicant is here, petitioning for removal of a portion of a chart that was created in 2020 as part of their master sign program. In fact, it's just come up on the screen now. Because we did not have a sign ordinance as part of our UDO at that time, or didn't really have a UDO, actually, there was the novel approach of adding some height restrictions that unfortunately, every single sign that has come in during my time here has in some way violated it or caused someone to have to shrink it down, remove logos and whatnot. Jody, please come up. I was definitely going to say that there are actually 2 sort of requests here. You go back 1 page, there is there's some language that needs to be struck, which will help. Again, in my practice as a planner over the last 20 years, I'm going to say that traditionally logos and are not necessarily considered sign. The signage that we generally in planning rely on is the words. If your logo happens to also be a toilet or a car engine or an American flag or an eagle, that eagle is not really part of what we're trying to shrink the size of. It's actually the text on the sign. So anyway, I'm going to introduce the applicant, or I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Good evening, board. My name is Jody Lightoff. I live at 481 Bennett Mountain Trace. I'm here representing Eco Northwood MUPD this evening. I also serve on the design review board for Northwood Landing, so I'm the first pass at any signage that comes through. And so I've worked for the last 3 years with the town of Pittsboro staff, and having 2 different sign ordinances and trying to apply them at the staff level and then at our level and kind of re-engaging and making sure we're all looking at the right sign ordinance. Once the UDO was passed, we recognized that we had an incongruent control within our guidelines that we'd like to clean up and just make it uniform with the town's UDO so that staff and I are always looking at the same document and just making the process easier on everybody. Completely honest, I wrote this sign ordinance. This is all me. And now I'm coming back, hoping to revise that. And a lot of it has to do with just the changing times and how we've applied signage at Northwood Landing to what else gets developed in the town. And we just wanted to be consistent in the sign. All we're asking for, these are wall signs. So if you have a retail building, you have 10% of that facade can have signage on it. And so I go through and chart each, like if you have a multi-tenant building, I keep control over all the 10% and make sure that when I put all the signage on the building, it's still under 10% of the overall larger elevation facade of the building. So in this case, well, all we're asking is a little bit more freedom in that design mechanism. I think I just assumed every sign was going to be horizontal, as Randy was pointed out, and now we're getting bees and chickens.
Chickens, Zach's face.
And so it's really just kind of building in. When the dust settles, it's really the process with me and staff to have the one sign standard that fits the whole town. And that's all we're really asking here tonight.
Okay, thank you. There is no public sign up to speak. Is there anyone here who intended to sign up to speak about signs? All right. Comments from commissioners? Questions? All right, take a motion to go out of public hearing.
So moved.
I move. Second. Baldwin and Commissioner Farrell, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, any other discussion? All right, I'll take a motion to approve the amendments to the Northwood MUPD Master Sign Program as included in Exhibit B.
So moved.
Commissioner Farrell, second. Second. Commissioner Vose, all those in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. All right, pass unanimously. Thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate it.
Okay, up next, under action items, we have a budget amendment for a really exciting thing. So this is a pilot study for the water plant. And some background on this information is we actually got connected to this through a person at a ribbon cutting in town. So it's kind of interesting how it came about. But Nano is a local company that has a novel method of treating water. And so they've done a lot of research and are looking to apply that now to a larger scale. So we don't have, we have the issues that they seek to address, and then we would like to move forward further with some of how this applies specifically to town of Pittsboro, applies to drinking water. We don't have a lot of the details yet, and that's what this money would be for. But I would like to introduce Steve, who's the president,
one of the founders.
Founders of Nano.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Appreciate it. So thank you for the opportunity to speak with you guys tonight. So one of the founders of, it's two companies. We branded the water a little bit differently. We formed our company in 2017. We're in Burlington. So we are a homegrown local company, North Carolina company. We do all of our work in Burlington. And what we make is it's a special material that does a lot of amazing things. And one of the things that it does do is it purifies water. So it is made out of boron and nitrogen. It's a boron nitride. It's completely non-toxic in its manufacturing process. It doesn't use any water. It's completely green. So it's not like some of the environmental things like a battery that creates other problems. This is green from start to finish. And what we found is we have the ability to remove complex contaminants from water, but we take it a step further. We actually destroy the contaminants at exactly the same time. So the GAC program that you guys have, it's amazing, but what GAC does is it grabs the PFAS, but it doesn't destroy it. You have to send that somewhere, and it either gets incinerated or buried. So what that means is you've solved the problem in Pittsboro, but you haven't solved the problem. And with a lot of the incinerations, those chemicals are being found all over the world in places like the Arctic ice, Australian outback, where there is no industry. So what we've done is we've come up with a process that captures and destroys at exactly the same time. And this is based on state-of-the-art material science and UV energy. So the founders, myself and the gentlemen that are with me tonight, we all started working together at CRE, which is, part of Wolfspeed. So obviously UV lights and UV energy is something that we're quite familiar with. So we've combined this material science with that UV energy to where we've created something that absolutely grabs and destroys these chemicals in place. We do it in a way that it's a different way to think. It's a shift. Right? You don't have to have year-long studies. You don't have to have millions and millions of dollars to implement these solutions. What we have is a system where we have a small box and we have bad water coming in, we have good water coming out, and all that we need is electricity. Everything is done is at ambient pressure and temperature, and it doesn't require a high level expertise to run or to maintain. The document that I handed you guys, it's a very high overview of what this is. We've partnered our material science and our UV photocatalytic technology on top of something that's called foam fractionation, which is an industry accepted way to grab contaminants and pull them out of water. And what we do is, yes, sir. Foam fractionation. So it's very similar to what would be a very basic description is in an aquarium at your house. The bubbles of air grab the organics and the materials and float them to the surface. What we would do is we take what's floated to the surface, we skim it off essentially, and we put it in another box to do our destruction. So the clean water is continuously flowing out while the bad water is segregated and we do our process to remove the chemicals. What this does and the way that we do it is it takes about 20 to 40% less capital up front, 90% at least operating expenses annually. So I think you guys probably spend somewhere in the neighborhood of $90,000 a year to do your GAC removal. If we were to do this for just PFAS, it would be on the order of maybe $5,000 to $10,000 a year in OpEx. But we can also do dioxin. And from where we are in Burlington, we're well aware of the challenges that the Haw River presents to both the town of Burlington and everybody downstream. We know dioxin is a challenge for what you're doing. So it is one of the contaminants that we're focused on. In addition, we're working on things like nicotines, over-the-counter pharmaceuticals, prescription pharmaceuticals, dietary supplements, artificial sweeteners, all the things that are in the water that we haven't started worrying about yet. We can capture and destroy those as well. And this is well beyond a science project. We've proven that this works. We work very closely with Elon University. We have a research contract with the U.S. Navy. They've demonstrated the efficacy and the efficiency of our process at a large base in California. It's also been studied and published in academia for a number of years, both with our material specifically and materials that are similar. So this is something that we're quite excited about. The amount of space that we need to do this is quite small. It's probably 20 square feet. There's ample room at the wastewater treatment plant that you have here. And the other thing that we are doing with this is what we're proposing and what we're asking for is a cost share. So this is a new technology that we've developed here in North Carolina. We're trying to bring it forward in the state, eventually the nation and globally. There aren't too many forward thinkers like you are here in Pittsburgh when it comes to water. We are working on this week an application for funding with the town of Burlington that from the North Carolina DEQ. So that is also something that's ongoing, but this would likely, what we're doing here would likely be the first actual implementation of this process. But I want to stress, it's not a science project. We know it works. We've proven it works. A lot of other people have independently proven it works. But what this would be is this pilot study, we could show that we can remove dioxin and destroy it. We can remove things like PFAS and destroy it and other contaminants as well. It's something that we can continuously monitor and continuously test. It's not a transaction from our perspective. It's a relationship. So what we want to do is we want to have this installed in Pittsburgh and we will be here. We will help learn from it. We will help teach Pittsburgh how to do it. We will be prepared to grow. And if once the pilot is completed, in order to do a full implementation here in Pittsburgh, all the space that we need is about the size of one trailer, one Connex trailer on a trailer bed. And that's the way this is designed. It's designed to be completely modular, completely efficient. It uses almost no energy. It's just a little bit of electricity to power some small pumps in the UV light. Again, we don't use any toxic materials. We're not creating any additional waste streams. It fully eradicates the problem right here on site. And it's something that we're very excited about, and we appreciate the consideration that Pittsburgh has given for this project. And I'd be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
One clarification quick, you said wastewater plant.
Oh, yeah, it's a drinking water plant. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's the wastewater in Burlington, the drinking water plant here in Pittsburgh. You're correct. Apologies.
We do appreciate Burlington taking on the wastewater on their side as well.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yes, sir.
I have a question. So are you targeting hydrophobic molecules only?
Not only, mostly. So they are, the foam fractionation it is easier to take those out. But part of what we do, we can tune what happens with those bubbles and what happens in that capture stage to go for specific things if we need to.
You're talking about the diameter of the bubble or the,
It can be the size of the bubble, it can be the frequency of the bubble, it can be the gas of the bubble. There's a lot of different variables.
and you're actually breaking covalent bonds?
Yes, absolutely.
So
And the carbon fluorine bond is among the strongest. So by being able to break that, yes, absolutely.
you're attacking on the oxygen side of that molecule?
If it is dioxane, yes. And then the PFAS, it would be the fluorine you would go first.
Okay. And so you're going to be using this also in Burlington?
Yes.
Water treatment?
Yes, absolutely. The one in Burlington is a much larger scale. I think what we're proposing here, depending on the details, it would probably be on the order of 20, maybe 40,000 gallons a day that we would demonstrate the efficacy. The project in Burlington is likely going to be at least an order of magnitude larger. But it can scale from thousands of gallons to millions of gallons.
And this technology is nowhere else?
That's correct. The material that we use, so the foam fractionation is in a lot of places. It's common practice in aquaculture, fish farms, aquariums.
Okay.
There's been recent publications about dioxane and PFAS specifically, but the combination of the capture with the foam fractionation and the total destruction is unique to what we bring.
And it's patented or?
Yes, it is.
Actual.
The material is patented. The patent is owned by Nano, which is the parent company of the subsidiary of Invicta Water, but it is a patented material. Yes, sir.
So can we talk about the fractured molecules that you're generating?
So it breaks it all the way down. If you look at it for a PFAS, you're breaking down into CO2. So you'll have nanomoles of CO2.
Right.
If you have the fluorine atom, you are getting a nanomoles of a fluorine ion, which would recombine to create nanomoles of that.
But it's not hydrophobic any longer. That's great. And what was the ribbon cutting? Was that the ribbon cutting introduction or was that?
Oh, that was
The restaurant.
West
How did you find out?
End Kitchen.
So one of my neighbors' father is a resident of Pittsburgh, and he attended that ribbon cutting and
I see.
town mayorship.
All world.
Serendipity.
And I live in Cary, full disclosure. We're in Burlington, but I'm pretty local. So my neighbor's father has been a very good advocate for us for the towns and communities.
With the cost, if it works, issue wise, I know it does because I trust you. But this is groundbreaking and life-changing for our residents and the residents across the state.
Absolutely. And this is groundbreaking and life-changing for us. There's personal story behind why we're doing this as well. So it is something that we are very excited about, very proud of. When we started Nano through material science, we had this naive thought that we may possibly change the world. Doing that, making rockets lighter and plastic stronger sounds cool, but when we can change water, we really can change the world. And our goal for this is to do it in such a way that it is cost effective and efficient, so it changes the economics of purifying water for complex molecules. There's a huge pushback in industry and in other areas because they say it costs too much. We've changed that equation.
Yeah.
So this is something that we are very excited about. And there would likely be a lot of industry people that would love to come and see this in operation, which we also think would be an excellent opportunity to promote North Carolina, Pittsburgh, and what other resources and opportunities this area brings.
We have residents moving into this area. Those residents, one of the biggest concerns I have is it safe for my children to drink the water? And I'm glad you're here.
Any others?
I do have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So now, want to try this in Pittsburgh. Are there any other cities other than Burlington that you have actually spoken to about this, or counties or anything?
Yes, ma'am.
They trying to be on board with this particular type of system? And then also you had mentioned the Navy. So is that something that you all had presented to them and they're using that? What's the situation?
I'll start with the part first. We are talking to a number of groups, primarily in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. And it is a combination of municipalities, private industry, and landfills. The challenge that we have in many cases is most of these communities are completely reliant on getting funding from the state or the federal government before they implement their projects. So the time horizon is much longer. The project in Burlington is going through DEQ. Some of the other areas are going for state and federal funding. So we have a number of proposals out across the region. There are industry companies that we're talking to that are either concerned about water coming in that is contaminated with these chemicals, and as well as water going out. So we're having conversations with those as well. And one of the more exciting groups that we're talking to is actually treating, through a partnership with some other groups, is actually the landfill leachate. So but while it leaves the landfill before it goes to the water treatment plants, we're working on implementing proposals there. So it is really across the board. The Navy, we have what's called a CRADA. It's a Collaborative Research and Development Agreement. The base is China Lake in California. So this is one of their largest and strategic bases. They have a huge problem with the firefighting foams, which are often present at the airports. So that is their focus. We actually started working with them because in Greensboro, there is a school of nanoscience and nanoengineering, and we have a good relationship with them. And we were working with one of their students before he took his job out at China Lake. And when he was there working on water remediation, he engaged with us almost like immediately from the onset. So we have a number of different activities with the Navy. And one of those we hope that we could potentially bring here, and it's actually real-time monitoring of the water streams while we're doing the testing. Right now, you have to take a sample, send it to a lab, and have it evaluated. But what they're working on is doing something time of flight, so we can actually see as we're running this how effective that we are.
I do want to be clear about this too, that what we're proposing here is, like you mentioned, 20 to 40,000 gallons, and that water would not go into our system until it's been approved by DEQ and all these other organizations. And so we know we have good water for testing and sampling the system. But that is not water that's going to go out to the public for drinking water until it's provided, tested, signed off.
That's absolutely correct. Yes, sir.
What's the timeline?
That's the other really interesting thing about what we do. It's probably 3 months to get everything built. What we've done is we've tried to invent as little as possible and innovate where we can. So we've partnered with a manufacturing of the front end equipment, which is in Georgia. And we did that because it's close and we can get it pretty quick. The size and the scope of what this project is not going to require custom manufacturing or anything. So it's all off the shelf. We don't anticipate anything longer than 2 to 3 months before it's up and running, and we will be able to get data day one.
Well, I certainly look forward to the results from this study.
One of the more interesting budget amendments that we've ever done, I think. So, I will,
Just further, if I may, Steve, how do I pronounce your last name?
It's Wilsensky.
Sense.
Yes, sir.
Irish.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
all right, I will accept the motion to approve the budget ordinance amending the fiscal year 2023-2024 operating budget. Commissioner Vose.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Bonitz. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, pass unanimously. Thank you. All right, our second action item is the policy regarding Town of Pittsboro Advisory Board attendance. And I think it's a clarification of language here with Mr. Bonitz or Manager Frank.
Oh, sure. Yeah, as I was reading the attendance policy, I got a little bit confused. Language, I'll quote, is failure to attend more than 4 of the regular meetings scheduled within a 12-month period seemed to me to say that one could attend every other meeting, missing a total of 6 or 7 meetings a year and still not be removed. And I'm sure that's not our intent. So staff were very responsive and they can figure it out. And I don't think we need to discuss anything further. We're
But I think it is failure to attend 4 or
Right.
more regular meetings.
We could change that first sentence, the second paragraph. Lack of attendance is defined as failure to attend 2 consecutive meetings or failure to attend at least 2/3 of regularly scheduled meetings within a 12-month period.
Okay.
Y'all could adopt that with that suggested. I think we're good to.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, I'll accept a motion to approve the policy regarding Town of Pittsburgh Advisory Board attendance as included in attachment A and modified by Manager Franklin. Perfect. So, Commissioner Vose?
Second.
Commissioner Mayor Pro Tem Baldwin? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, thank you.
Well, that's fine.
Now, we're gonna have a closed session, so I'll accept a motion to enter into a closed session pursuant to NCGS 143-318-11A3 to consult with the town attorney to protect attorney-client privilege and to consider and give instructions concerning a judicial action titled Town of Pittsburgh versus 3M and DuPont et al.
So moved.
Mayor Pro Tem Baldwin, thank you. Second? Commissioner Vose, all those in favor?
Aye.
Signed up. Right.
questions.
All right, we are back from the closed session. And I will accept a motion to issue a notice of intent to sue Apollo Chemical for violations of the Clean Water Act and the Resource Conservation and Recovery Act.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Foley, second, Commissioner Bonitz, any discussion? All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. If I passes unanimously. I will ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Commissioner Vose, second.
Second.
Yeah. Commissioner Foley, all those in favor? Say aye.
Aye.